Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me for part 2 of my commentary about Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4, Episode 8. For this part, I'm going to discuss the scene between Tiffany and Martell and Lewis. Lewis seemed completely just like disinterested, and he was disinterested altogether. And Tiffany, in my opinion, was a bit too giddy around Martell. It's giddy. Martell walked into this really casual event looking like he's going to some sort of corporate meeting or something of significance. And I'm like, why? I don't know if he came from somewhere, but he was very overdressed. And to me, this indicates that Martell wears business suits like a costume. For him, being a businessman is a costume. It is a symbolic representation of his success or his reputation. It's how he wants other people to perceive him. Right? It is something he puts on. It is not something that's within him, that's intrinsic to his character or his personality, which is why he hasn't gotten his builder's license yet and could not understand why Melody needed to put a lot of time, energy, effort, and resources into helping their businesses to become successful. He likes to wear the entrepreneur title, but not actually be that. But anyway, during the scene, Tiffany asked about the book signing, what happened and so on afterwards. And he, started to clear his throat. In poker, there's something called tells. And tells are little twitches and little gestures that people make, that poker players make when they are thinking something or feeling something or they're about to make a move. So Martell's tell, since the beginning of season 1, was him clearing his throat. He starts to clear his throat when he's lying. So I knew he was lying when he said he doesn't know why Melody does not want to talk to him anymore. She's cut off all contact. Now, if you guys remember, after season 2 and even in season 3, Melody made every effort to be as gracious towards Martell as possible. They even went to a co-parenting session together, and she tried to console him when he was crying about being too broke to take the kids. She was compassionate towards him enough to suggest that Chris speak to Martell before he spoke to her. That is how hard Melody worked to make this divorce as amicable as possible, right? As a side note, Martell, since season 2, at the end of season 2, has been telling people not to be around Melody. He told he told Destiny to take his side in a divorce, right? Martell also went to Marceau and Tisha to basically apologize to them and blame Melody for what happened during season 1 and 2 when Tisha and Melody were going at it hard, right? Martell got angry with Chris when he went to Melody for the 47-acre deal because she had the builder's license, and Martell got angry with Maurice and Kimmy for inviting Melody to their party before they invited him. Martell also was lying to Tisha about Melody calling her a whore in season 2. So Martell went to every one of their friends, in a sense, to disparage Melody. But he told Destiny a couple of episodes ago that Melody is trying to turn all of his friends against him. But people keep calling Melody fake and a liar. I've heard people call Melody fake and a liar more than I've heard people call Martell fake and a liar. Oh, I forgot to mention this too. Martell tried to block Melody from the 47-acre situation. He went to Marceau and he tried to kind of like go behind her back in a sense and kick her out the deal in a way, because Marceau has his own builder's license too. So he's trying to fuck with Melody's money and her friendships. But Martell's going around telling people that Melody's trying to ruin his relationships on this show. And nobody is calling Martell a liar. I've heard people call Melody a liar more than I've heard people call Martell a liar. And Martell lies, again, so much he has a tell for it. He starts to clear his throat. So now Martell wants to act like he doesn't know why the woman who gave him split custody, even after he threatened to take full custody from her, why the woman who didn't put him on child support or alimony, or the woman who was still paying bills at the house that he forced her to leave after they got divorced, why doesn't she want to talk to him anymore? He's going to act dumb. And apparently the people on the show are going to act dumb too. Because even if Tiffany doesn't know anything that's happened in the past 2 or 3 months, I'm sure she's watched season 1 and 2. So I don't know why she didn't call him out and say, well, what did you do? And I think Lewis wanted to say something like that because he would be the type to say, well, there's a reason why she would not want to talk to you anymore. What happened? Instead of saying, yeah, I agree and whatever. Okay, point number 2. Because Martell is very interesting as a person, but he said Melody needs do women around her. I don't know what that means, but I guess it means that Melody needs to have control over the people around her. I never heard that term before, so you guys maybe can give me the definition for that. A do woman. Okay. Melody has an alpha personality. And yes, she is somebody who dominates the room that she's in. She is centripetal to her circle. She attracts people to her because she has a very exuberant personality. She's a go-getter. She's ambitious. She's charming. She's very sociable. She's very confident. So people gravitate to people like that. So I guess Martell is saying that Melody needs to be able to control the people around her and basically use them as attack dogs on other people. Here's what I have to say about that. Melody strikes me as the type of person to offer or volunteer her services and support to her friends and family. I've said this before on both of my channels. She is the type to want to see the people around her be elevated. Melody has elevated everybody in her circle, while Martell has tried to bring down just about everyone on this show at some point or another. Okay? Martell also said that Melody was a user. I wonder if this is what you would call classical projection, because he was using Melody for the entire marriage to boost his own image. Okay? Just like the people around Melody try to use her for resources, for support, for her networking circle, for her ambition, for her energy. Melody is a great source of energy and fuel for the people around her. That's why, like I said before, no matter how many times people complain about Melody being a bad friend, they want her around them because she takes care of the people around her. She has receipts for everybody on the show. Okay? So I mentioned a few months ago on my other channel, after the reunion, when narcissists can't use you or when people can't use you anymore, they try to discard you. Every single person on that stage benefited from Melody. They don't mind her doing for them. They don't mind her being a do-girl for them, right? They don't mind her coming out of her pocket, out of the kindness of her heart, to volunteer her money, time, and services, okay, to other people who are in need. I'm the same way. If I see somebody struggling around me, they don't have to ask me to help them, because sometimes people don't want to ask. And if you're a problem solver, you solve the problem without asking for permission to do so. And I think that's what all these people like about Melody. Melody will help people out without her even asking them, do you need help? You can see the person needs help, obviously. If you care about your friends enough, you don't have to wait for them to ask you for anything. And there are some people, okay, who always need help. And they will conveniently put themselves around you to make sure that you see that they need help and you're always in a position to give. That's how it is with sometimes. Martell didn't have any problem with Melody being a do-girl or wanting do-girls around her when she was his do-girl. When she was doing all the studying for the builder's license, when she was doing all the contracts and the work to maintain the business after hours. Like 5 o'clock, that's for regular people. When you have your own business, you're working round the clock. When she was doing everything in her power to make Martell look better, he had no problem with her needing do-girls because she was his do-girl. If Melody needs do people around her, then Martell needs do people around him. Because what happened when Chris called out Martell for cheating on Melody? What happened when Chris came to Melody with the 47-acre business proposition before he went to Martell? Did they get in an argument or not? Because Martell wants people to do for him too. Just like he wants Marceau and Fred's builder's licenses to do the work that he doesn't want to do for himself. What's interesting is that if Melody needs do-girls, she takes care of her do-girls, right? She offers them help and support and a platform for free. I remember Kimmy had an interview with Tisha and Melody. And she said one of the things that she loves about Melody is the fact that you don't have to ask Melody to do anything. You invite her somewhere, she's like, yeah, I'll volunteer this. And she volunteers her support, her help, and her resources without anyone having to beg her, right? Without anyone having to disrespect themselves or grovel for her, right? Without anyone having to sleep with her, which is what some men do, right? When women ask for help or when they need help. Melody volunteers her support to her friends, which is why even if they are do-girls, they're taken care of very well. And Melody may expect them to have the same level of loyalty and empathy for her as she has for them. You don't have to ask me to help you because I see you need help. Just like I shouldn't have to ask you to stop talking to this abusive man that is messing with me because I wouldn't do that to you. But unfortunately, Melody, like many women, including myself, we assume that people are going to treat us the way that we treat them. And that's where Melody's mistake is. She thinks that the people around her are going to be as gracious towards her or forgiving or accommodating towards her or understanding or empathetic towards her as she is to these other people. And unfortunately, that's not the case. What happens is if you're a doer, right, and you are a person who attracts a lot of opportunities because of your energy and your confidence and your ambition, you're going to attract people like Martell and other people who need help to you because they know that you have the ability and the desire. That's important. She has the ability and the desire to elevate the people around her because she wants to see people doing well. You know how you know when somebody wants to see people doing well? When they volunteer their help. When you don't have to beg them for anything. When you don't have to shame yourself for their friendship. That is how you know when somebody has honorable and good intentions. Now, some people may say, well, why is Melody talking about how much she does for other people then if it was out of the kindness of her heart? Because sometimes you got to remind people who take you for granted because you're always giving to them and they always expect you to give to them. You got to remind these people sometimes, yo, listen, I have receipts of everything that I've done for you. What have you done for me to feel so entitled to whatever you're asking for right now? Because if I'm volunteering my help for you and my services towards you and my resources to you and you don't have to ask for anything, I'm happy to mentor Tisha to help her get out the house and get more confidence in herself. I'm happy to loan money to people. I'm happy to put people on this platform. I'm happy to offer my business license or builder's license to my husband who ain't shit to help build them up. I'm giving to every fucking body around me, right? But now I need do-girls. No, I need people to reciprocate the same energy that I'm giving them. Now, mind you, if Melody is sicking people on people and causing drama and fights, that's a different conversation, okay? But Martell is talking about it as if Melody doesn't do anything for anybody. She's using people. She's manipulating people. But everybody on this show, including Kimmy, even though she has her own money because she has her own career, has benefited from Melody. Again, why do I have to keep saying the same thing every single week? I don't like sounding like a broken record. So yes, there are some women who expect the people around them to be loyal to them and do what they say. But there are some women who don't give you anything in return for your loyalty. There are some women who don't give you anything in return for your loyalty. Is Melody that person? Or are other people on this show more like that than Melody is? Again, there are some people who expect you to reciprocate the generosity that they have given to you without request or nothing. Melody was generous enough to Martell to not sue him for the money he stole from her. She was generous enough to him to share the money with him 50-50 from their businesses, even though she was probably doing 70% of the work or 80% even. Okay? And he was spending her money on somebody else. Melody was so generous, she didn't even sue Martell's mistress for the money that he was misappropriating outside of their relationship. That's how generous Melody is. Melody wants to see everybody around her win. You cannot go wrong with a friend like that. This is why I said before, everybody wants to hate on Melody, but they insist on wanting to be her friend. If she was that damn bad of a person, why are you going to her for financial support instead of your husband? Why are you mad at her for getting a divorce when you say she didn't satisfy you? Why are you relying on her for any support instead of your mama? Melody has helped Tisha more than her mama has. All her mama can offer is a big mouth and a big back to fight people with. But somehow, Melody is public enemy number one. And this is why I said last week, if you know people want an excuse to fuck with you, if you know they want an excuse to see the wrong that you're doing, don't give them the ammunition to do so. Because inviting Kiki to that party was just another excuse to say Melody's a bad friend and a bad person. But there are receipts upon receipts upon receipts of what I've done for you that you fail to mention in every conversation that we have. So because you failed to mention it, right, and you're going off this narrative that I'm a bad person, I got to remind you of who I am and who I have been to you throughout our relationship. And like I said before, because Melody's a problem solver, she will look at the problems that her friends are having as her own problem. Just like with Tiffany needing to go to Vegas to see her birth father or whatever, her birth parents. Melody volunteered, sure, I'll go. No problem. I enjoy doing stuff like this for my friends. And she has evidence to back it up. She's not being fake about it. She didn't ask Tiffany for a favor to say, oh yeah, you know, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. No, she's like, yeah, sure. I'll volunteer my time to help you out. This is interesting to me. Your life is interesting to me because I'm your friend and you're my friend for the time being. But if I don't get the same loyalty out of you, why are you even around me? Real talk, Melody is too much of an asset to the people around her to have vipers and haters around her. They're going to suck her dry and leave her fucked up. You saw what happened when she was married to Martell. Her friend, her so-called friend and business partner, was helping her husband to cheat on her. And she helped them out with their business. You see what happens? So, if Melody is a do girl, good. Good. Because the people around her don't mind using her for her gifts, taking her do girl money, taking her do girl time. Martell is pressed about this do girl not wanting to deal with him anymore. If she was such a headache and a nuisance for you, why are you concerned about what the do girl is doing with her time? She's honoring the custody arrangement. She's taking care of the kids. She's not abusing, neglecting, or mistreating the children, right? So why does she have to talk to you? Fuck you. Who are you? But the source of most of the problems in her life. The source of most of Melody's problems in her life is Martell. He's the beginning, middle, and the end. So she has to cut him off because she's a problem solver. And I talked about this in part 1. To solve the problem of Martell being an issue in her life, she had to cut him off. It wasn't an irrational decision based on emotions, right? Based on anger and hurt feelings about a new baby. No. She cut him off after he continued to antagonize her and terrorize her, right? Because he couldn't have access to her do-girl ass anymore. Because her do-girlness was taking care of him for years. Her do-girlness makes him look really good. And up until a certain point, when Melody asks someone to do something for her, it's usually for their benefit. Whether it's helping people with businesses, whether it's helping Tisha with her self-esteem, whether it's helping other women with mimosas and Melody, whether it's her what's it called, property management course that she does. She's always trying to help people. She's not a hater, calling women linebackers, taking women's money, using other people. How is Melody a user when everybody around her has used her? No, what's happening is people are so entitled to Melody's help and her resources, and she gives it so freely that when she takes it away or expects something in return, it's unnatural for them. Like, how could you ask for something? You have everything. How can you ask me for anything and you have everything? So it's awkward for them. It feels weird when she expects something in return, because she always shows up as if she has everything together. Because she knows that if she doesn't, she can't rely on anybody. So now I gotta be a superwoman because I'm around a bunch of people who don't fuck with me like that and who I know I can't rely on for anything substantial. So I gotta be superwoman and save everybody in my circle. If I don't do that, I'm gonna be called a bad friend for watching my friends struggle because I didn't offer them any help. So yeah, Melody is such a good person, in my opinion, that she volunteers her help. But because she volunteers it and people don't have to ask for it, they take it for granted and think that they're entitled to it. So when she expects something in return, it's like, how dare you? You're a bad friend for taking time for yourself. You're supposed to be at my beck and call whenever I feel like it. I own you and your time. Forget your divorce. Forget you losing everything that you've ever worked for. Forget your husband cheating on you for years. Forget all that. Just cater to my needs and, call me on the phone once in a while or accept my phone calls when I feel like it. Forget what you're going through. Just be accessible to me the way that I'm used to you being accessible to me, or else you're a bad friend. Because I'm entitled to you. You're mine. I own you. And if you don't let me own you, I will throw you away and call you a user. Right, Martell? Right, Tisha? If I can't use you anymore, then you're a user. So I hope Tiffany and Louis did not believe the BS that was coming out of his mouth. I hope not. Because if they believe this, then Melody needs to cut them off too. Real talk. If they've watched this show for 2 seasons and they believe the nonsense that came out of Martell's mouth, I think Louis was looking at him crazy like, I don't believe nothing you saying. Louis had this tight look on it. He didn't say nothing. He was just looking at him like, real interesting. Because I think he wanted to ask some questions, but after that conversation or confrontation he had with the guys, he didn't want to check him in front of Tiffany. And he didn't want to get into the argument about this. So I think that, I don't think Louis agreed with Martell. Anybody who agrees with Martell, they don't like Melody anyway. Because there's too much evidence to the contrary. To the point where, like I said, Melody has to now say, this is what I've done for everybody. Years later. I hope people don't say, well, if she's a good friend, she won't talk about what she's done for other people. Sometimes you got to do it. I'm speaking from experience. People will expect you to do it all the time. And if you don't have it one time or you say no, they get mad at you and they hate on you when they never did shit for you in the first place. So Melody's at that point where people around her are now saying, if I can't use you anymore, well, it's been like this in season 1. If I can't use you anymore, and I talked about this in my commentary on the reunion last year, if I can't use you no more, then guess what? You're a user. You're a do girl. You need do girls around you. And it is what it is. At this point, Martell needs to keep his mouth quiet about Melody because he's projecting all of the stuff that he's done to her onto her. And I hope the people around him can see that. I really hope that they can. If they don't, then they don't want to because they don't like Melody anyway. Martell has intentionally tried to isolate Melody from the people and their circle since the divorce proceedings. But he's telling people that Melody wants to isolate him from everybody and turn everybody against him. I think that Kimmy does not want Martell at this party, or she's not as eager to invite him as she usually would be because of this interview with Ariane. Martell allowed Ariane to say whatever she wanted to say about everybody on this cast, and he did not call her out on it publicly. He allowed her to try to destroy all these marriages. That is the mess that I think Kimmy says is attached to Martell. Ariane is the mess. The mess is a person, not just the events and the circumstances. It's an individual that you're attached to that is bringing chaos and mess to my life, to my husband's life, and everybody's life on the show. And you're not calling her out on her shit publicly, ever. You know why? Because Ariane will put Martell on blast if he ever scolded her publicly or told her to stop. He can't do that. Just like nobody can tell Martell anything wrong about himself in public because he will put them on blast too. See, they're the same people. So Kimmy doesn't want to invite Martell because now she knows that Martell causes trouble. And Martell will still try to blame Melody for that. He wanted to. Why would you invite Melody before me? Why would she invite you first? Why do you have first dibs on anything? Why do you feel entitled to be invited to events before Melody? But Martell's not a hater in his mind. He doesn't know why Melody doesn't want to visit him anymore, or spend time with him, or answer his phone calls or emails, or invite the kids to his events on her time. She's done accommodating him, because no matter what she does, he will still go around and talk shit about her and project his issues onto her and not acknowledge how much she's done for everybody around her, while calling her somebody who needs a do-girl, a user, a manipulator, and a do-girl. And she saved your whole life. She saved your bloodline, period. She saved his bloodline. You see where he came from and where Melody took him? She did that. She saved his bloodline. And this is how he repays her. So, fuck your events. Fuck your emails, your phone calls, contacts. Fuck you, period. That's how it is. And I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll speak to you soon.